How can you be desperately homesick for a place you've never been, a land you've never even laid eyes on? Well, I'll tell you how. It's a place you see with an eye of faith, and it's the only place where you really belong. In this episode of Higher Ground, we're going to hear a country called the Land of Beulah, described by an interesting, oddly matched group. One of these people was a world-famous, highly acclaimed English writer. One was a prophet of the Old Testament from the kingdom of Judah. Another was a high school teacher from West Virginia who became a gospel singer. And the fourth, well, he's not actually a person at all. He's a unicorn from a land called Narnia. In his writings, C.S. Lewis spoke of an inconsolable longing in the human heart for we know not what. He described it as a desire for our own far-off country, for something that has never actually appeared in our own experience. Before I was a Christian, I was aware of these feelings, these longings for I knew not what. I wasn't aware at the time that God had placed them in my heart. I didn't realize He was using them as an instrument by His Holy Spirit to stir my desires and affection toward Him. About 3 decades later in West Virginia, a high school teacher named Squire Parsons was driving to his job, absent-mindedly humming an old hymn the congregation had sung in his childhood church, a song called Is This Not the Land of Beulah? Recalling that morning, Squire said, as I topped the beautiful West Virginia mountains, I was hit by the brilliant sun in all of its glory. I continued to hum the old song from our little church, but this time it became a different song, one that I had never heard or sung before. Parsons, on that routine drive to school, had fashioned in his head the chorus to a song that would eventually become a beloved gospel hit, Sweet Beulah Land. In the Bible, Beulah is a word that means married. The prophet Isaiah used the word when he described our ultimate and intimate union with the Lord, which was also foreseen in Revelation as the marriage of the Lamb. Isaiah said, "No longer will they call you deserted or name your land desolate, but you will be called Hephzibah, and your land Beulah. For the Lord will take delight in you, and your land will be married. As a young man marries a young woman, so will your builder marry you. As a bridegroom rejoices over his bride, so will your God rejoice over you." In Squire Parsons' song, the land of Beulah is a beautiful description of the heavenly city of New Jerusalem. It is the place where God's people will dwell with Him forever, and no sorrow, no death, and no pain will ever be allowed inside those gates. Squire wrote the song in 1973, and a couple years later left his teaching job to become the baritone singer with the Kingsmen Quartet. Sweet Beulah Land was recorded in 1979 and touched the hearts of gospel music fans the world over. The song became a #1 hit in 1981 and has been recorded by countless artists, including the Gaither Vocal Band, Casting Crowns, Jason Crabb, and more. Sweet Beulah Land is a moving representation of the inconsolable longing that C.S. Lewis described. The song begins with the lyric, "I'm kind of homesick for a country to which I've never been before." That sentence would be understandably confusing for people who don't know the Lord and instead try to find their happiness in the things of this world. things like money and possessions or status or relationships. Lewis made the point that so many of those people search their entire lifetimes for true peace and satisfaction, but never find it because they fail to realize that seeking lasting happiness on earth is a fool's errand. He said, if we find ourselves with a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world. And that's where the unicorn comes in. C.S. Lewis's best-known literary work is The Chronicles of Narnia, the epic fantasy series that explores how God might perform his redeeming work in a world very different from our own. A character in the final book of the series, Jewel, the unicorn, exemplifies the homesickness we have for a place we've never experienced. When Aslan, Lewis's embodiment of Christ in Narnia, welcomes Jewel into Aslan's country, the unicorn cannot contain his joy. I have come home. At last. This is my real country. I belong here. This is the land I've been looking for all of my life, though I never knew it until now. So 4 different voices, a songwriter, a prophet, a titan of literature, and his unicorn, all trying their very best to describe what is absolutely indescribable. Well, the fact is, no matter what we imagine heaven is going to be like, that will only be a fraction of the joy and the glory that we will experience there. God himself promised that glory and joy to us and revealed it to John, who wrote down what he was shown. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." He who was seated on the throne said, "I am making everything new." Then he said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true." One day we will see it and finally understand what we've been longing for all of our lives. Until then, rejoice in the Lord always, and remember that someday soon he'll be coming to take us all home. Sweet Beulah Land by Squire Parsons.
I'm kind of homesick for a country to which I've never been before. No sad goodbyes will there be spoken, for time won't matter anymore. Beulah Land, I'm longing for you, and across the river to where my faith will end in sight. There's just a few more weary days to labor, then I will take my heavenly flight to Beulah Land. I'm longing for you, and someday on me I'll stand. There, my